So friends, tonight we have a series of short one-liners and quick hitters because I kept getting a big stack of these things and a lot of them annoy me.
They annoy everybody.
By gosh, by golly. Number one, when is an interview too personal? This comes from money.com. Some 20% of hiring managers say they have asked a question in an interview only to find out later it was illegal. A career builder survey found out-of-bounds queries include your age,
Age.
religion,
Correct.
plans for children, and whether you drink or smoke.
Okay, that one I wasn't aware of.
And small talk can get interviewers into trouble because what they do is they don't ask you questions, but they get you talking and they try to pull information out of you. Casual conversation is part of the process. Companies want to see if you'll fit their culture. If you're not comfortable with the question, says Hefner, say as diplomatically as possible, I just want to clarify how that is relevant to the job. Now, I think that probably kills your chances of getting the job when you do that.
Well, especially
because,
in my mouth.
Yeah. They want people that are going to conform. You know, so they're going to write in the thing, heel rock the boat, and that's it, you know. But this is,
It's amazing we got hired for anything.
I knew somebody. That's how I got hired. Another thing from money.com that's interesting. Retirees who would do things differently if they had the chance to do it over again.
I'm one of them.
What do you think number 29%? That's the leader. Of things that they would do differently. What do you think that 29% of the people said?
Money.
That's exactly right. Save more money before retiring.
Invest different.
Number 20, at 23%, the second choice.
Pick a company that has a better pension plan.
Oh,
that might be, I don't know.
Well, actually, what they were talking about is just before you retire.
Okay, just before you retire.
Yeah.
23%.
Your regrets.
Well, so I know some people retire with a substantial amount of debt, whether it be credit card,
be debt free.
Or mortgage.
Yeah. In fact, that's not here. I think that probably comes under save more money. But the second one was line up stimulating activities. You know,
okay.
I've known people that have retired and said, "What do I do now?"
Yeah, some people.
And they just sit around like a houseplant.
They have no interest at that.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. Number 3, change nothing.
Okay.
4, and this one, I can understand this one, retire a few years later. In retrospect, I wasn't ready to retire.
I was.
Yeah. But here's the next one. And they're just about the same, one's 70%, one's 14%. Retire a few years earlier.
Yep.
And finally, better understand their money needs. And
Yep.
I'm surprised that is not up top.
Yep.
Yeah.
Some people don't anticipate exactly what their financial situation is going to be, or else they fool themselves.
Exactly. And you know, I've kind of come, I better not talk about that.
Never stopped you before.
That's right. I've come kind of full circle a little bit on financial advisors, and I think if you can find a good one, I think that it is a big help because he's got to know more than you know. And while I don't want them telling me what I have to do, I sure as heck enjoy listening to their advice.
Yep.
And saying, you know, now I can buy off on that kind of thing. Well, moving right along, I'm going to have you guess the 5 states, or as many as you can, with the highest household electrical rates in the country.
Well, I'm going to start with the highest, Massachusetts.
That's number 3.
California.
No.
Oh.
Think of Massachusetts
Probably Vermont.
close by. No,
Rhode
actually,
Island?
they get stuff down from
How
Canada.
about Rhode Island?
No, actually, I should tell you, Hawaii's number 1.
That makes sense.
Yeah, and
Yeah,
cents per kilowatt hour, they're at 33 cents. Then it drops to Connecticut at 21, Massachusetts $20, 20.8, then Alaska, and then New York.
New York surprises me.
Yeah, heavily regulated.
Yeah, that's,
Yeah.
It's not so much resource. It's,
Now, with this said and done, now let's focus in on Massachusetts at 20.8 cents per kilowatt hour.
Yeah.
We suppose the national average is.
Well, I looked at something about that too. I know that one time Massachusetts, before we were about 60% higher than the national average.
You'll be happy to know we're 70%
Are we
higher
70%
now,
now?
because I
But-
figured it out.
Good news though. Eversource says the rates are falling next month by 20%. Well, that still puts us way over the national average.
Yeah, 12.21 is the national average.
Is that what it is?
And we are 70% above that. And isn't it great to know that, we're only 70%
Oh,
over?
yeah, that's it.
And we get the green wackos fighting to keep gas pipelines and hydroelectric lines out of Massachusetts. They want us to stay number 3. Aren't they great, all
Yeah.
these special interests?
Eversource, we said we should, of course, this one would drop to 10.05 on the new rate. That's because they signed a new contract.
I'm all
a few-
for that. Yeah, if we can get some more natural gas in here,
Yep.
too, that's certainly going to help matters out a lot.
The governor we had didn't help this matter any.
No, he didn't. He was obsessed with sunshine and wind power.
And everybody in the western part of the state just were death on a pipeline coming through.
Yeah.
And he was beholden. He lived out. He got a mansion out there.
That's right. But, when you see that the rates are going to go down dramatically from a new or an auxiliary pipeline of a larger capacity, and you see how that affects you every day.
Absolutely.
And affects the people that do business in Massachusetts so that you get lower prices on some things. This is a win-win.
Electric rates kill manufacturing.
Oh,
Just kill them.
oh, absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, if you looked at your fixed expenses, boy, that's one right up there.
Sure is.
Again, the influence of our show just grows by leaps and bounds. Quite a story in yesterday's Globe. Water technology growing fast in the state. Massachusetts has established a reputation for welcoming high-tech and life science companies. Oh, God. Now state officials have their eyes on another promising sector, water technology, which aims to stretch, reclaim, and create water supplies to quench the thirst of growing populations in an increasingly warmer world. Well, look, the populations are growing too. I mean, that's got a lot to do with it. So it requires more food, which requires more irrigation, blah, blah, blah. So let's not make this into a crisis again, a man-made crisis. Well, it is in a way, but the point was that I said, remember, I said, water is something that we are going to have to address. We're going to have to look more at these reverse osmosis plants, and especially places like California and Houston. You know what? They watch our program and they picked it up
I
in
know
these
they do.
think tanks, and now they're jumping right on board. And now it's their idea.
Yeah. I did see another system where they were going to take the moisture out of the atmosphere
Yeah.
and convert it into potable water.
Dehumidify, yeah.
And that's a good idea, but
You know,
in
it
certain
is.
parts of the world, yeah.
In certain parts of the world.
Where they really need it, you can't use it.
Yeah.
Because it's too dry. The air is too dry.
Yeah. But boy, Brazil, Panama, and places like that,
Yep.
I mean, those are humidity central. Baton Rouge, Louisiana is quite a place too.
The water situation is scary.
It is.
And when you get places like California, Arizona, that whole western part that depends on snowpack,
Yeah.
the Colorado River, when that's not there, there's big
Bingo.
trouble.
Yeah. And, you know, if our snowpack had been denser and with a much larger water content, we wouldn't be talking about a mini drought right now, but we are.
We are. Oh,
Yeah.
Yeah, rainfall's been nil.
Yeah, absolutely. It's like somebody shut the spigot off. Well, here's my little piece on President Obama. President Obama lobbying Congress nonstop for his trade bill after ignoring senators and representatives for the first 6.5 years of this national ordeal has really upped the ante. Now, this is great. I love this. By offering House Democrats everything from political cover to rides on Air Force One.
Isn't that incredible?
How shallow would you have to be?
Hey, kids want to ride in a big plane?
Yeah, to be swayed by a ride on Air Force One with POTUS. I mean, you have got to be. I mean, I hate these politicians, all of them. Okay, a couple of them aren't bad, but the rest of them aren't worth anything. But to say, oh, Mr. President, if you give me a ride in the big plane, I'll vote for anything you say.
It's crazy.
And of course, these are the Democrats now that he's trying to sway over to his program. It's funny, this free trade agreement, he's got the Republicans.
Don't you
it's
love
his own party.
Don't you love it? He gets Elizabeth Warren all upset over this thing.
Oh, man, I'm telling you.
Yeah, this free trade of his. It's like when they had one years ago, and Ross Perot said that sucking sound you hear is going to be jobs being sucked right down to Mexico.
Hey, guess what? Did he know what he was talking about?
He did.
He certainly did.
Look what happened to Providence, North Attleboro, the whole jewelry industry overnight backed up the truck
All
and
these
they
small
gone.
manufacturing jobs,
Yep.
gone.
Gone.
All right? And not only that, but look what happened to the textile industry.
Yep. Oh my. Yeah.
That was a major industry. Now, I know about the textile industry because a lot of the plants are fully automated. That's the kind of stuff we used to sell. Foxborough Company, that was a huge customer base for them. And gone. Overnight. Gone.
Yep. Oh yeah.
I used to sell, one of my biggest valve customers when I was with Foxborough was Graniteville. Huge. They had textile mills here and there. And out of business. Either that or they downsized and been sold.
So we're sitting in
Yep.
China today.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. He's also creating a new slogan for his concentrated effort working on this trade plan. If you liked your own old trade bill, you can keep your old trade bill.
Oh, haven't we heard that someplace before?
Now, that worked so well the last
With
time.
Obamacare.
Yeah.
If you like your doctor, you can keep your doctor.
Yeah. You like your health plan, you can keep your
it.
health plan.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Well, okay. Now, Duane, you're a problem-solving kind of guy. You're more of an analytical thinker.
Maybe a problem causer.
That too.
All right.
I tend to shotgun my stuff around.
We don't rehearse this, so
No.
this is off the cuff. I'm afraid of what I'm going to get here.
Well, there's a bill
Yep.
that is in that's going to require all Connecticut colleges to establish affirmed consent as the threshold for determining whether sexual activity is consensual or not.
Yes.
It's moving through the General Assembly. Under the legislation, the term affixed consent is defined as an active, clear, and voluntary agreement by a person to engage in sexual activity. Now now hold on to your hat for this one.
We discussed this over breakfast.
The bill cleared the Senate by a 34-1 margin. If this isn't a a huge can of worms. I mean, what now? So, all right. So,
Okay.
I ask little Lucy out on a date, and I say, "Now, Lucy,
I
before
got
we
it,
go
yeah.
any further, we have to
that's right.
discuss this contract that
That's
you
what I
have
said
to
to-
sign."
Not only the college kids not going to carry condoms, they have to carry a briefcase with releases. I want you to sign it. Come on. I need 2 witnesses here.
Right.
Sign this.
My
That's
lawyer said this has to be in triplicate
Yeah.
too. 1 copy for you, 1 copy for me, and 1 copy for the university.
Who thinks of this
Yeah,
stuff?
I mean, this is but just absolutely mind-boggling.
Yeah.
Well, here's another mind-boggler
Okay,
too.
go ahead.
Today on WBZ Radio, there was a little consumer report, and it said that on your car insurance, people are only getting 20%. This is an insurance company study, by the
Right,
way.
okay.
20% of the available discounts. That there are discounts available, and the reasons the people don't get them,
I know.
they don't ask for them.
Yep.
And the other reason, they have no knowledge of these. So, folks, the next time that you got nothing to do and all day to do it, call your insurance agent and say,
Yeah.
how about these discounts I'm hearing about?
Just review them. That's all.
Yeah.
That's all you got to do.
Safe driver discount, no accident for 5 years. All right. Less than 7,000 miles a year. Are you aware that you get a discount for that? Your professional status. Are you a college graduate? There's a possible discount there. Your credit score. The higher the credit score, you could get a discount there.
Age, even the over 65 on some given discount.
Right, multiple cars in the
Yep.
family, discounts. So, the next time you feel like aggravating somebody, call your insurance agent and say, am I getting a fair shake here?
Yeah.
Or what? What's going on?
Yeah, the
I'm
rates,
all-
rates are plenty high. They don't.
Yeah.
They're not giving you anything for free here. So.
That's right. All right, now it's question time.
All right.
You're going to have to answer. I'm going to put you right on the spot.
Oh boy.
The Zanev verdict, I can never pronounce that.
That's okay. We know who he is.
Yeah. Unanimous verdict within 15 hours for the death penalty. Now, on a scale of 1 to 10, what were the odds of this happening, in your opinion?
Oh, I thought it was a done deal that he was going to get life in prison, being Massachusetts, and you mentioned death penalty, and half the population goes into cardiac arrest.
Yeah.
I guess that was a bad analysis, wasn't it?
Well, no, not at all, sir. I mean, you managed to hit the nail right on the head. But poll number 1 before the trial, 30.1% of the people in Massachusetts supported death penalty for heinous crimes. That's 3 out of 10. For you folks at home that are mathematically challenged.
You notice he didn't even need a calculator for that.
Right. Opposed the death penalty, 55%.
Yep.
And the potheads, Dancing with Stars fans, and
Oh,
those
boy.
who idolize George Stephanopoulos and don't know, 15%.
Yeah.
So, 30 to 55 opposing the death penalty. After he was found guilty, but before it was announced the
Okay.
results, put to death, 18.9%. Dropped from 30.1 to 18.9. Life in prison went from 54.9 to 62.8.
I think there's a reason for that.
Yeah. Potheads, Two Broke Girl fans, and Candy Crowley admirers, and green people, 18% they don't know.
I think the media, particularly the Globe, had a big hand in that. The first thing they started harping on was that if he doesn't get the death penalty, he's going to go to that Supermax, and how terrible that Supermax was. He's going to suffer. He's going to be in isolation. He's going to, I don't know, they were going to feed him dog food. They got really ridiculous about it.
Yeah.
So people started saying, well, if they send him to that place, maybe he shouldn't be executed. Make him suffer. Then once that they got that kind of swayed, then all of a sudden they said, well, he may get sent there, but he might not stay there under those conditions.
Yeah, in fact, even I think out there, I think he gets 12 hours a day television.
Something like that.
Yeah, but he's got to be a good boy.
Yeah.
One mistake and the television leaves. And he gets a little time outside, but generally it's confined to a small space. And he gets to read a couple of books a week or something like that. But
It wasn't as draconian as that,
exactly,
as they were trying to.
exactly, because the Supreme
convince you.
Court wouldn't allow.
They wouldn't allow it.
No, that. So with that in mind, this unanimous verdict, on a scale of 1 to 10, how would you have called that before in the aftermath? What were the odds that was going to happen?
That the verdict came down
Yeah.
that it did? I think no more than 20%.
Me too.
Yep.
But you know what? I think it points out they were already talking about it. Their minds were all made up. And the prosecution vetted the jury pool. You either supported the death penalty or else you're walking. Or are there a lot of closet death penalty folks out there that don't want to admit to it?
I think there are more than we know.
Okay.
I don't remember the crime, but somebody came up with a slogan, if not now, when?
Yeah.
It was a heinous crime. And
One of the worst ones that I recall are those two guys that picked up little Bobby Healy there, or whatever his name was, a little Irish kid, Curly or something, with the promise of a bicycle, and raped him and put his body in a thing of cement or something and throw it in the ocean.
I think that was one of the cases of
Yeah.
when the people said, well, if not the death penalty for this,
That's
when?
right. Yeah,
What
when
do
is
you need?
right.
What needs to be happening here?
Yeah. Okay, on the old 1 to 10 scale, will he ever be executed? What are the odds of his being executed on a 1 to 10?
Well, if I'm correct, since 1960 something, they have executed 3 people.
And there's 65, I
Something
think, on death row. Yeah.
So 10%. If you
1
look
in
at
10.
that,
1
yeah.
in 10. Yeah, it's not like Timothy McVeigh,
No.
who just said, I'm not going to fight this. Execute
Yeah.
me.
Yeah.
And-
Timothy McVeigh was one of the first times that we ran across that kind of mass terrorism.
Stone cold killer.
Yep. And the first time ever that the public ever saw something just kaboom and blow up and kill 60, 70, 80, 100
Oh,
something.
164?
160, I know
Yeah,
60
something like that.
And the shock value there was so high.
Yeah. Now, okay, so let's say that there's more people in Massachusetts than you think that support the death penalty. They just won't
Oh,
come
there
out
is.
and say it.
But
Yeah.
they don't say anything.
Would you say there's 20, 30, 35, maybe 40% support the death penalty? Or is that too high?
No, that's not too high.
Okay.
I'd say, if you really dug down and if you could ask everybody walking around, I said you're going to come 45.
Yeah,
Maybe more.
especially if it was a member of their family that was killed.
Oh,
Yeah. Okay, so now the Bill Crane acid test.
oh boy.
Out of that grouping, we'll call that grouping 100%
Okay.
of death penalty
Advocates.
advocates.
Okay.
How many will pass the Bill Crane test of raising their hand and say, I will come down and throw the switch?
20.
20%?
Yeah.
The other 80% will say that wash my hands of
Yeah.
this. I'll vote for it, but don't get me involved
Yeah,
in it.
I think so.
Pontius Pilate.
Yep.
Yeah. I think you're right. I think you're absolutely right. You're very, very tuned in today.
Oh, I sat yesterday in the dentist chair. That's why.
Oh,
The Novocaine's still wearing off.
report rips military on sex assaults.
Yeah.
Senator Kirsten Gillibrand released a report saying sex in the military are vastly underreported. And she also is very angry that the Pentagon refused to provide her with all the information she requested about sexual assaults at several major bases. The material she did receive revealed that the spouses of service members and civilian women who live or work near military facilities are especially vulnerable to being sexually assaulted, yet they remain in the shadows because neither is counted in Defense Department surveys. It just goes on and on. Now, I cut to the chase here. What is the big reason for this increase in sexual assaults in the military? Well, let me put it another way. Is this just clearer reporting and more honest reporting of what's always been going on? Or is there a upsurge?
I don't think there's an upsurge. I think the reporting has become easier and more accepted.
Yeah, and I think the people are less reluctant to come, less reluctant to come out of the shadows and say, hey, guess what? Blah, blah, blah. The captain had his hands all over me yesterday, and I'm sick of this crap. And
if her husband or her boyfriend or somebody actually worked for him, was subordinate to him, they probably would say, just shut up.
Yeah, well, that's it, exactly. Now, I have my own opinion on this.
Okay.
That may surprise you, but I think the social engineers have a lot to do with this.
Oh, absolutely.
Because over here we had barracks. Men lived in the barracks. Over here, women lived in the barracks, the WACs.
Yep.
Okay? There were lines drawn in the different jobs you did and how you related to the people within these jobs.
Right.
But now, because, rightly or wrongly, the WACs, the women that are in the service are saying, you know, we get less exposure to what's going on. It's much harder for us to be promoted. I love being in the service, but down it all, I don't want to be an E5 all my life when I see guys that are half as bright as I am, they're E8s. This just doesn't make sense to me. So we've melded this all together.
Right. You right down to the basic training. They train. The Army trains together. The Marines still don't. But
now we got them living together in the barracks.
Yep.
Oh, gee. And you mean to say there's more sexual activity? Who ever would have thought that?
Like,
I mean, come on.
When the Navy put women on ships, they were amazed that there was sexual activity between the sexes. Well, who the hell didn't see that coming?
Who came back from a 3-month cruise pregnant?
Yeah.
How does that happen? Sexual activity is not allowed. Isn't sexual activity between especially officers and enlisted men and women,
That's
isn't
not
that
allowed.
a court-martial offense?
Yes, it is. That's fraternization.
Yeah. Gee whiz, when's the last time that happened? Damn few times. But it's like in colleges. Oh, yeah, well, we got the boys and girls all living together in the same... Oh, gee, you mean there's stuff going on? Now, who could possibly have figured that out?
Bill, things have marched on since our time.
Yeah, but it's so, you know...
I didn't say it's good. I said things have moved on.
But how can they possibly say we need a study to figure out what the hell is going on?
Yeah,
how much plainer can it be? I'm getting excited.
No, that's a
Now I'm going to be... I'm going to be tense all day now.
I know.
Well, here's a bit of good news for you.
All right, go for it.
URI police to start carrying weapons.
Oh, last one in the country.
On campus.
The last major campus in the country that they're going to let them, other than carrying a rose and a notebook to write down somebody's name, you know.
Right. So we're finally understanding, even at URI, that this is getting to be a dangerous job, and these guys need to protect themselves.
That's right.
I mean, to be a security guy, a security police officer on campus, and not be armed is I might as well say, well, just kill me. You know,
it's nuts.
No. By the way, I have a couple of remarks about the trial of Zanev, and one of them is I want your opinion on this. Nancy Burns, professor of sociology at Drake University. The jury's decision to send Tsarnaev to death row will not bring closure for the families. In many capital cases, victims' families are given false hope that their pain will go away with an execution. The debate about the role of capital punishment in our justice system will continue, but the unrealistic promise of closure for victims needs to be left out of it. What do you say about this?
I think she's wrong. Closure is something that happens over different time periods with different people. Some people can close on an incident, a traumatic incident like that, relatively soon. Some takes a lifetime, they never get closure on it. But the fact that they don't is not, I don't think the fact that the guy got death penalty or didn't get death penalty, it's a personal thing. And well, you don't get closure on a situation where you can say you got closure and the guy went off to prison for life in prison. 20 years down the road, you get some liberal judge that says, oh no, that wasn't really life. You know, all of a sudden you turn TV on, you see the killer of your loved ones going to get out. That's not closure.
Well, the Massachusetts Parole Board is holding hearings right now, and they've got a whole bunch of murderers that they're bringing in and saying, well, he's turned his life around. Well, he had no choice. I mean, he's in prison.
Yeah, he's in prison. If you had closure before, you don't now.
Yeah,
so
exactly.
It's these, I don't know, these, I don't know what to call them, you know, these academics, to be nice.
Yeah.
They don't live in the real world, most of them.
Now, you got something to say there. You're absolutely right. I agree with you. However, I also agree with Nancy Byrne. I think this closure business is just another buzzword that's beaten solidly to death. Mm-hmm. But I agree with you that closure is something that, I guess, if closure ever happens, closure is something that is a long drawn-out affair, or something that happens 3 days after the fact.
That's right.
When you just say, look, I can't dwell on this. I'm putting this out of my mind. The hell with it.
Yeah.
And I think those are the healthiest people, by the way, the ones that
absolutely.
the ones that dwell on it for 36 years are.
They're creating their own hell.
Exactly, you know? So I think she's right in one respect, that the closure, this panacea, just doesn't happen to some people.
Yep.
You know, I was reading an article about a girl that was murdered 24, 26, 28 years ago. And the mother and two of her siblings never got over that they missed, it destroyed their family.
Absolutely.
They had this family unit, and when Jenny, or whatever the heck her name, I don't recall her name, but when Jenny was killed, it destroyed that. It just tore at the fabric of our family. And one of the daughters mentioned what it had done to the mother. Well, I can imagine what it would do to me as a parent, or you as a parent. I just don't think that all of a sudden I'm going to wake up one morning and I'm going to say, well, that SOB is in prison and I now have closure.
Yeah.
And
it doesn't happen like that.
It doesn't.
Unless you're Mother Teresa, maybe.
And I think that the whole closure thing is just another one of these phrases that's overused. By the way, how about the next person that you talk to? And you ask him a question, and he says, so, what you're asking me is blah, blah, blah. And how about these people that start every sentence now with so? That's another, like the Valley Girls kind of stuff that's spread around. I would like to know who the hell started that.
I don't know where those speech patterns come from.
Yeah, I don't know.
With some people, it's like.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. How about this? How about this? When you're having a discussion with somebody and they say, you know what I'm saying? And I go, no, I don't. What do you mean you don't? I said, I don't. Explain it to me so I can understand it. I don't understand it.
That's kind of a crutch to make a break to the thought process and go on to the next idea.
Exactly. Or when the thought bank is bankrupt.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I got nothing more for you, so you know what I mean.
Or those that say write everything.
Right.
Want to do this, right? Want to go here, right?
There was a guy.
We did this, right?
There was a guy that used, well, back when I was a youth.
I'm so tempted to say wrong. Wrong.
Back when I was a youth, there was 3 bars over on Shear Street. Ruthie's Lakeside Cafe, the Mirror Club, and the Shamrock Club. And I guess one's an Irish pub now, and the other one is Tom's Tavern or something. Anyway, there was a third one.
Yep.
So anyway, go out for a couple of beers or something. You'd stop here and see who's there, and stop there. Well, there's one guy that if you saw him in there, you'd say, I think I'll just leave. That idea of the beer isn't it? Because when he had 3 in him, that's all he needed was 3, and he was drunk. Mm-hmm. Well, you know what? I remember, when Eisenhower said, there'll be no more of this. Am I right? Am I right?
Yeah.
Every single thing he said was, am I right?
Yeah.
And you would go insane.
Oh, you can't get rid of him
listening
then.
to that.
Yeah.
No. And if you ever allowed him to start the conversation with you, you might just as well forget about it.
We go back to the Midwest, a little town. There's one bar and restaurant there. It's called Marge's, and her son is in there sometimes. And he's not a kid. He's 40 years old. And I was in there with my brother-in-law at the time. He says, don't make eye contact with him. If he sees you make eye contact, he'll be right over here, and you won't be able to get rid of him. He's just like that.
Don't buy him a beer either.
Yeah, don't even look at him.
No, because he'll pick the beer up and come over and talk to you.
Exactly.
So I solved that problem. I stopped going over there. Well, I really didn't, but...
Another thing that, as long as we're on idiosyncrasies of speech, is that I went to intelligence school for the military, and they taught things like interrogation. And people have a tendency to say, did you see, was the man wearing a white shirt or a black shirt? And he'll say, if you ask a question like that, was he wearing a white shirt or a black shirt? They'll answer yes. And that used to irritate my wife. She'd ask me, give me the 2 things, and I'd just say yes. Well, which is it? But you watch today, like cops, they'll ask questions that would drove the interrogation class crazy.
Yeah.
You don't happen to have your driver's license on you, do you? You don't have anything in that car that's illegal, do you? What's the guy going to say, yes or no? What means that, yes, I don't have something in there, or yes, I do have something in there?
Well, because there's a little trap there.
Well, yeah,
I
know
that.
that.
If you say, no, there's nothing illegal in here, then the cop says, well, you won't mind me looking through it there, will you?
But to ask somebody negative, that used to drive them crazy.
How about this? Does Monica come out and say, what would you like tonight? Beans and hot dogs or pork chops? And whenever I answer, well, I don't know, they both sound good, honey, whichever one you want to make.
Yeah.
My wife goes berserk at me. Why can't you answer me?
Yeah. Well, again, what do you want for dinner?
Yeah, so
And
now...
I say, well, how about a T-bone and baked potato? We don't have that. Well, I said, why didn't you give me the choices?
After 44 years of marriage,
Yeah.
I finally figured out that I've got to tell her something. Oh, God. Otherwise, she's a wonderful woman. I love her dearly. But, all right, on a 1 to 10
See,
scale.
we said something nice about you guys,
Yeah,
so we
see?
can go home with now.
I can go home. On a 1 to 10 scale,
Yep.
will an important terrorist attack within the U.S. happen this year?
I'm going to say yes.
On a
And
1
that-
to 10 scale, what's the probability?
6,
Within the next 3 years?
8, maybe 9,
Within the next 5 years?
9.5.
Yeah.
Because there's too many
people coming in.
That are going, well, good people that are going out right now, some domestic that are
Yep.
going to ISIS, and they're not going to stay fighting over there. They're going to be sent back here. And we have so many targets. It's like picking the low-hanging fruit. I mean, they're soft targets. They're easy to hit.
What you want to do is you want to get the most bang for your
Yeah.
buck. So a shopping mall,
Oh, my God.
a school,
Yep.
well, of course, thank God, maybe they're stupid, the terrorists. They haven't figured this out yet. But the confusion they could cause at a major sporting event,
Oh,
just everybody panics and heads for the door. I mean, we'd have trampling deaths like they have in India, you know?
that's right. As somebody said, too, you take, instead of attacking a school, 1 or 2 individuals, suppose that ISIS had 10 or 12, 15, and they came through every damn door that they had. I don't care if them doors are locked. You can break through those. You can shoot the locks off them and come into that school from every different direction.
Yeah.
By the time the authorities got there, it would have been total massacre.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. And, you know, you also worry, too, about our water supplies.
Oh, that's another thing.
Yeah, our power plants. I mean, the havoc. You know, I got to believe our intelligence operation, the FBI, as much as maligned as they are, and Secret Service, they're doing a hell of a job, because there's no doubt they're intercepting this stuff. But you know, in an open society, we have these college professors and other nutbags that are screaming that you can't hold this information back. You got to tell us what's
everything
going
you know.
on.
Yeah, exactly.
So why don't we just reveal our sources? We'll reveal what's happening out there, what they're trying to do,
Yep.
and boy, oh boy, the college professors will be happy.
NAACP will be happy.
That's it, exactly.
The American Civil Liberties will be happy.
Absolutely right. Okay, here's another beauty, and this has got quite a trickle-down effect here, this
Okay.
little story. An 86-year-old woman in Ina, Japan, was arrested for cashing her parents' pension checks. Unfortunately, they have been dead for about 50 years. She apparently took in about $420,000 in this period. Governor Deval, Together We Can Patrick, has contacted the Baker administration with the suggestion that she be made an honorary citizen of Massachusetts.
Well, why not? We've got so many that do the same thing here. She could be a role model for them.
Yep, that's exactly right.
Because, you know,
Yeah.
that was brought out here with Patrick's administration a few years ago about this happening. He said, oh, it don't happen that often.
Yeah, and not only that, it's just incidental. It's just,
It goes on, it's common.
Yeah, yeah. And stop bothering me
Yeah.
with these little statistics. And also, the Governor Patrick also pointed out that perhaps this old witch could be appointed as the director of the MBTA.
I don't know
Hell,
why
we've
not.
tried everything else.
Yeah, that's right.
All kinds of other clowns on there. Well, all right, now here's something here. I know a man of your sensitive nature
Oh, yeah.
will cut right through to the quick on this one. There's a news story on Nesson News, NECN, which is Channel 6 on Comcast.
Correct.
The reporter was in Westport, Connecticut, because some flyers had been found in Westport, Connecticut. You know what they said?
No, what?
White lives matter.
Oh, how could you say that?
And she, in reporting this, said that she led into it by saying, they have discovered racially charged flyers
Isn't that
saying white
unbelievable?
lives matter. If it had been Black Lives Matter,
Oh, no, that's a common, that's
that's a rallying cry.
that's right.
All right, I certainly don't argue with that. But other lives are just as important. And to say
Not to that crowd.
Not to this crowd. That's,
to that crowd.
We're bad actors by talking
Yeah.
about stuff like that. And by the way,
We shouldn't even be talking about that.
we'll probably get complaints. complaints.
Oh, I'm sure we will.
But you know what? I'm about set to complain about my number one complaint.
Okay.
Okay?
like that.
I've never shared this before on
Complain
television.
about my number one complaint. I
This
like
is
that.
it.
Yeah.
I'm going to talk about my number one complaint. All right. For years, a couple of hundred, blacks were referred to by the N-word.
Yep.
Well, we've come a long way because the blacks have said that is a very derogatory term. We hate that term. It's insulting. It's foul. It is
Okay.
just bad.
Nobody doesn't going to argue with that.
So what we've done
Yep.
is society as a whole
Yep.
has stopped using the N-word. You just don't hear it anymore. Except where?
Rap
In the black
community
community.
referring to themselves and to others. like
That's
that.
exactly right.
It's very disingenuous.
Yes. So, with that background, I am very disturbed when I'm called a mother F.
Yep.
Okay?
That's right.
That is an extremely derogative and foul term. Slavery was all done, not totally done, but for all intents and purposes, when Lincoln signed the Emancipation Proclamation. So we have not had white slave owners violating
That's
the
right.
slaves, ladies. So why not, I find that term foul. Why not say to the America at large, society at large, clean up this too. This is just as bad as the N-word.
Yeah. But it's total double standard.
Now, will that happen?
No. It's total double standard. There's that PC element in there that always shows up. This is okay for this one, this is okay for this, but it's not okay for this one.
Do you remember Newton? And his
Newton's laws?
Newton laws?
Yeah.
Remember Newton's third law? For every action,
there's an
there
opposite
is
and
an
equal
opposite
reaction.
diction. And for every single time
Yep.
that we you use whatever terminology we use, but whenever we get off the rails and we start favoring one class of people
Over the other.
over
Yep.
the other, all right, when you start saying we are discriminated against and we need to get into college ahead of these people, so the equal opportunity program there in colleges starts to bring in a certain quota. Well, that's less over here.
Yeah.
These people are being discriminated.
Social engineering does not work.
It doesn't, because it does nothing but it
Yeah.
fosters more discrimination just on another
Yep.
side of the equation.
There's a huge lawsuit right now in California from the Asian students.
Yes.
They're being shut out by
They
the quota
are.
systems.
Yeah, by the
And they
scoring
say, we
systems.
score higher and qualify higher, but you shut us out with artificial quotas.
Yeah.
That's not right.
But you know what the interesting thing is, too, is that I believe the quota at UCLA is 40% of the incoming class has to be limited to Orientals. Mm-hmm. That's a huge number.
Yep.
But if someone said if it were not that way, it would probably be 75 or 80% Orientals that would be admitted. And you know what? Let's carry this a step further. There's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah.
Okay, but let's carry it a step further. The police exams are held, and we've got opening for 2 patrolmen, and so we call civil service, and they schedule exams.
Yep.
Now, we have a young man who passes 95. On the written exam, he passes as A+ with experience, A+ with education, and passes the physical, which is quite demanding.
Yep, of course.
Then we have another person, and this we'll call him Mr. B.
Okay.
This guy was number A, this is letter A, number B. Oh God, numbers and letters are getting mixed up. Maybe I'm losing my mind. Could be. So anyway, he passes the exam with a 71. 70 is passing.
Right.
71. Doesn't have a college degree. Doesn't have related experience
This is an everyday occurrence.
because I was held back. Because I went to a substandard school. I was never, my family was poor. They couldn't send me to college. But I want to be a police officer. And he comes from a different ethnic group than this guy comes from.
Mm-hmm.
Now, when you appoint, or comes from a different gender, when you appoint a cop, I want the best cop available appointed.
You got to relate to it, picking a surgeon.
Exactly right.
You want some surgeon because of the color of his skin or his background, barely got through medical school?
Yeah. Well, you make a good point there. Wonderful point. Do folks go in and say, oh, wait a minute, don't you have a minority surgeon that could operate on my eye or on my heart? You say, I want the best guy possible. That's what I want for a policeman.
That's right.
Okay? The best guy. The best, the most intelligent, the best background, the best education, and the best physical condition.
Because when you start splitting this up by race, let's just say what it is. When you start splitting them up by race, and then they use that background. Well, I didn't have the background, he had the background. All right, now I came from a part of the country where there was extreme poverty, the northern part of the state. Extreme, they were all white. They didn't have that advantage either. But they don't get any advantage because they're white. But they had the same disadvantages that, say, a black had here. It's a slippery slope when you start using race. Because
Well,
I know a guy.
And ethnicity also.
I know a guy that got into a medical school. His father was a famous.
Ethnicity, gender.
His father was a famous heart surgeon.
Yeah.
A multi-millionaire, and he got special treatment and special scholarships. And somebody said, "You don't need this." He says, "Yeah, but I'll take it because they give it to me because I'm black." You know.
It's got to be a level playing field.
Yep.
And I think that maybe the new mayor of Boston has got an interesting idea. You cannot change the racial, the ethnic makeup of the Boston Police Department overnight. Otherwise, you'll have absolute chaos.
Yep.
So what he said is, let's go back to the police cadets. Let's work with these kids in high school.
Yep.
Let's bring them through school. Let's train them so that at 21, they're trained police officers. And then send them to the State Police Academy,
Yep.
make sure that everything is what it is. Then you begin to bring some of these lads on board. By the way, this police academy is open to all races.
Yep.
Okay? And a level playing field.
And let these kids know already when they're 6th grade, you want to be a policeman? You're going to have to pass. You're going to have to go to school. You're going to have to do your homework. You're going to have to know math. You're going to have to do this and this. And let them know that now is the time to start working on this. Not get out of school and then all of a sudden say, I can't do that.
And you're going to have to keep your nose clean.
Yeah, that's right.
You're going to have to stay out of trouble,
Yep.
and that is a tremendous benefit.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah. And so now, what have you done? You've created a pool of new police officers. What's the worst? Now, what is the worst thing that could happen? We don't have enough openings for the pool? The surrounding towns can pull from this pool.
Sure.
What is wrong with fully trained 21, 22-year-old?
Nothing.
And, also, I would amend my madness here too by saying, not enough openings, go in the service.
Yep.
That will guarantee you a spot.
Yep.
Because I really and truly believe that you should hire ex-servicemen first. They should go to the head of the list. Now, I'm not saying that you take a serviceman with a 75 and you leapfrog them over a 90.
No.
But boy, when they're within a
things
couple,
are-
3 points
are
of each other,
equal. Yep.
bingo, you take the veteran.
Some companies are finding that out in their human resources.
Yeah.
And you got to give, around here they criticize Walmart on and on and on. Walmart can do
you
no
know why?
right.
They're a big target and they're easy to hit.
Yeah, and Menino hated them
Yeah, right.
because they wouldn't contribute to his
Yeah.
personal
Exactly.
fund
Yeah.
enough.
Yeah.
But Walmart has got a big program on hiring veterans.
Yeah, and they're smart.
Yep.
Because they realize that that is a smart thing
You
to
dig
do.
it. Yeah, they'll hire an associate like that, and within months he's got showing leadership. He's getting motivating other employees. Everything. It's an ideal employee.
I have a very important news flash here too that I got to get in.
Okay.
Object found near Kerry's home causes a scare.
I remember that.
Boston Police Bomb Squad was dispatched to Beacon Hill on Friday afternoon to examine a package that was found near the home of Secretary of State John F. Kerry. Boston police said initial reports from the bomb squad technicians was the object did not pose a threat, and it was later identified as a copy of the Gigolo's Handbook.
You can't make this stuff up.
No! I would never make this stuff up. And I think I get time for one more quick story.
Yeah,
A dozen deer discovered dead March 25th in New Hampshire were likely the victims of well-intentioned but fatal feeding by local residents. Field necropsies indicated they died from complications caused by unnatural winter food. Deer are ruminants, depending upon microorganisms in their rumens, stomachs, to aid in digestion. As a deer's diet gradually changes with the season, so does the composition of these microorganisms. Too rapid of a transition from a late season diet of woody browse to foods high in carbohydrates such as feed corn can disrupt stomach chemistry, reducing a deer's ability to digest food and also releasing toxins, which in severe cases cause death. And I have raved for years about people feeding wildlife. Leave wildlife alone, Look what we did with the geese, feeding the geese.
Canada geese, yeah.
We destroyed the migratory pattern of the Canada geese.
Yep.
To what end? So they can stay here during the winter and freeze to death? I mean, this is, well, anyway, folks.
We can continue next time with some of this.
Boy, we got some more, too.
We're not even close. Look,
Yeah.
This pile
So
of
I think we'll have another gripe session next time.
All right.
I think it's necessary.
Yep.
I think it's good for you and I to purge ourselves of these toxins.
Purge is a good word.
Friends, good night and pleasant dreams.
Yeah, take care.